Well, the president has certainly satisfied his most ardent supporters today, but the question remains on whether that can translate nationally. Already today, another House Democrat has said that he should step away from the race. Is it worth potentially a government shutdown in the future to fix those things?
We have to do something.
Medicaid, with over 3 million recipients in Pennsylvania, Head Start, CareerLink, have all gone dark. And we wanted to focus on another race in Philadelphia. Chris Rabb, State Representative Chris Rabb, has the check mark. He will be the only name on the ballot in the 3rd Congressional District in Philadelphia, one of the safer Democratic seats in the country. He defeated State Senator Sharif Street in what has been a high-profile race there, and has to be said a bitter disappointment for Street, who came in as the front-runner state senator, son of former Mayor John Street, former chair of the Pennsylvania Democratic Party. He will finish a distant second to Chris Rabb, who gained a lot of progressive support, endorsed by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, among others in that race. And we also want to touch real quickly on the race in Bucks County. Bob Harvey, the county commissioner in Bucks County, given the check mark. He is the winner of the Democratic primary there to face Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick, a name that Democrats have wanted to knock off for a long time there. They'll have their chance in November with Bob Harvey as the nominee.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement has indicated that it intends to build processing and detention facilities in Berks and Schuylkill counties, drawing reaction from locals who say their infrastructure would be strained and their quality of life perhaps would be threatened. Fox 43's James Corrigan live in Berks County this afternoon, where Governor Josh Shapiro addressed the situation and came out in opposition to those facilities.
That's right, Evan. He made it very clear where he stands on these ICE facilities. He cited not only human rights concerns for Pennsylvanians, but also infrastructure concerns for these communities in Berks and Schuylkill counties, which would be under duress if these facilities are built.
I intend to use every tool at my disposal to stop these facilities from coming here.
Governor Josh Shapiro came out against the impending ICE facilities for processing and detention in Berks and Schuylkill counties. The plans for these became public after the Trump administration finalized the purchase of a warehouse in Berks County on February 2nd, made entirely under wraps. Shapiro wrote a letter to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem opposing the facilities, citing human rights concerns along with the infrastructure of these communities.
We know, for example, in Tremont, that if this is built, they will literally run out of water within 24 hours. Let me explain what that means to the average homeowner nearby on that system. That means that they literally won't be able to turn on the water in their kitchen and fill up a pot of water. They won't be able to flush the toilet.
Of wider concern is the impact on surrounding communities, including Lancaster, which is roughly an hour from the proposed Berks County site. Residents there recently rallied against ICE and expressed their concern over a widespread ICE mission in the region, which the new facilities could indicate.
Having them be on the verge of being here in droves is what we want to prevent, and we all know what an ounce of prevention can lead to, a pound of cure.
What the Shapiro administration can do to prevent the facilities is unclear. The governor met with more than 20 local officials, including Republican and Democratic commissioners from Berks and Schuylkill counties, who he says all expressed concern. The governor says his greatest concern is for the quality of life in the area.
I think we all want to live in communities where people enjoy laying their heads at night, enjoy going to work, enjoy going out to play or take a walk or raising their kids. And this would undermine the quality of life that so many have worked so hard in order to develop here.
Now, the governor said that there would still need to be permitting involved with the Department of Environmental Protection when it comes to water and sewer uses, including what he says is a federal plan to truck in water into these facilities. Now, none of the other officials that were here today appeared at the press conference, but we just got a statement about 20 minutes ago from Republican Congressman Dan Muser, who represents this district. He expressed many of the same concerns that Governor Shapiro expressed over sewage, over water usage, and over transparency. He says he'll convene a meeting between county officials and DHS to ensure that transparency takes place. Live in Berks County, I'm James Corrigan with Fox 43 News.
Fox 43's James Corrigan sat down with Congressman Perry today here in our studio. He joins us now with details of that conversation.
Well, Evan, the bill has been the talk of the nation since it passed the House last week, with many of President Trump's promises on taxes in this bill, but others around the country are concerned with its effects on social programs. Congressman Scott Perry addressed those concerns in my conversation with him right here in the studio, and he says he remains concerned about its effects on the federal deficit.
It did some great things, but it's still got a lot of work to do.
For Congressman Scott Perry, that work involves reducing the bill's projected increases to the federal deficit. While he supports the bill's extension of President Trump's first-term tax cuts and the elimination of taxes on tips and overtime, he voted for the bill despite its projected addition of more than $2 trillion to the deficit and its raising of the debt ceiling by $4 trillion. Why are you supporting a bill that would increase the deficit and keep the deficit where it is by that much?
Okay, so again, none of these bills are perfect. You don't get everything you want. If we're going to preserve the taxes where they are, you're going to have to do something.
You've talked about the debt ceiling increases as also almost an admission of more debt. Do you see it the same way?
I do see it as the same way, but at the same time, again, Rand Paul will say, I didn't vote for this increased spending that caused the debt. I agree with him, neither did I. At the same time, if we default, that'll be very, very bad for the economy as well. And I'd actually like us to see us cut some spending so that we never got into a circumstance where we needed to continue to increase the debt ceiling.
Much of the spending cuts from the bill come from Medicaid. The bill imposes work requirements of 80 hours a month for able-bodied adults and freezes states' abilities to increase provider taxes that allow them to collect more federal dollars for Medicaid. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office projects that the bill would cause more than 8 million Americans to lose their health care. While Democrats argue that the requirements will hurt the economy by keeping more people off health care, Perry says the changes allow Medicaid to cover who it was meant to cover.
It wasn't meant for people that could work but choose not to. It is meant for people that are poor or can't work, and so we're going to preserve it. If we want to preserve it for the people that it was intended for, we've got to get rid of some of this waste.
Your Democratic opponents will argue that fewer people on Medicaid will lead to fewer people working, so that sicker people are less likely to work. What would be your response to that?
If we're paying for people that could work that choose not to, who do not have dependents but choose not to work, the system is going to fail.
I want to bring you to something that Josh Hawley said about Medicaid, saying, quote, if Republicans want to be a working class party, we must ignore calls to cut Medicaid and start delivering on America's promise for America's working people. With these cuts, is the GOP still the party of the working people?
Of course, the GOP is the party of the working people, and I would remind Senator Hawley that under this program, just like I told you before, Medicaid increases 25% over the next 10 years. Only in Washington, D.C. is a 25% increase considered a cut.
Others are concerned over the bill's impact on SNAP benefits. Under its new formula, 29 states with higher error rates, including Pennsylvania, would see its share of SNAP spending go to 25%, up from 0. While Governor Shapiro warns the state would not be able to make up the billion-dollar difference, Perry says the states need to have responsibility in keeping error rates down.
They have no incentive to verify that a person is even eligible. So everybody that applies, whether they're eligible or not, can get the benefit. And again, it becomes unaffordable.
The Central PA Food Bank in Harrisburg, right in your district, they have sounded a little bit of the alarm, saying that these cuts would hurt rural areas, that they are worried that they may not be able to keep up with new demand from these cuts. You talked about cutting spending, of course.
Right.
Why is this an area where spending should be cut?
Well, let's be clear about what the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank is talking about. What they're talking about is programs that started during the pandemic and were never scheduled to continue to go on forever.
Even for SNAP? Even just the basic funding of SNAP?
Okay, so basic funding for SNAP, then they need to go to the state government and make sure that the people are qualified. Again, we have to make sure that people are actually qualified to be on these programs because they are not endless pits of money.
Are you concerned about states' abilities to?
I think the state can make up the difference. I worked at the state level as well. There's plenty of waste and fraud and abuse there too.
The bill is now in the hands of the Senate, with Republican senators indicating significant changes could be made. Perry says he would have concerns if the Senate version adds more to the deficit, but that he's hopeful the final bill will be fiscally sound.
I hope what they will see and what they will experience is that their taxes won't go up, that the economy will be running in a robust fashion, and where they feel pretty good about the future of their country and their own personal future.
And the House and Senate both return to Washington next week, and the Senate will get to work on that bill. They've indicated that the bill will not look the same after they're done. Whether all of the tax cuts or funding shifts in those entitlement programs will survive, it all remains to be seen. Evan.
All right, certainly a lot of insight. Fox 43's James Corrigan was at the event tells us how the president tried to connect with his supporters.
Well, connecting with voters is what many national Democrats say is what the president has to do to reassure them that he can contest the race with Donald Trump in November. The push within the party for him to step down as nominee has been growing, but the president did not address these today with supporters. Instead, he spoke on his own record and how he got to where he is now.
Every time I come back to Pennsylvania, I feel like I'm coming home.
President Joe Biden hammered home his Keystone State roots in front of supporters, surrogates, and First Lady Jill Biden in Swatara Township at a campaign gathering with an informal atmosphere. The president touted his economic record and attempted to rally support for his campaign.
We're on the cusp of getting so much done. I really mean it. And with your help, I know we have your help. With my help, helping us working together, we're going to get a hell of a lot done for the American people.
The event comes as the president faces growing calls to step out of the race against former President Donald Trump over concerns about his age and ability to contest the race. Senator John Fetterman, perhaps the president's most outspoken supporter, reminded voters of the last time Biden and Trump faced off.
I am about to point to the only person that's ever kicked Trump's ass in an election right now.
Attendees at the event say they too are sticking with Biden.
He's the only man right now who can really serve the American people in a very dangerous time because he has served for his whole life.
Everyone's been focused on the debate and whether or not President Biden should pull out. I say absolutely not. Stay in, run on your record of accomplishment, and let the American people decide.
Well, the president has certainly satisfied his most ardent supporters today, but the question remains on whether that can translate nationally. Already today, another House Democrat has said that he should step away from the race. So it remains to be seen whether he can present a united front within the Democratic Party as he remains on a collision course with Donald Trump. And according to the president and his supporters, that course is on schedule.
And this is the conversation I'm proud to have between now and November because that's our guy, and that's the way it's going to stay.
Now, the president also visited a Harrisburg coffee shop with Governor Shapiro immediately following the event. This came after a visit to a church in Philadelphia earlier today. It will be the week to come, however, which could decide whether he can remain in the race or not as Congress returns to Washington and as the president's detractors from within the party could potentially make themselves heard. James Corrigan, Fox 43 News.